Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Got your questions here from spring.me/AaronRift. Let's get started with the first one today from Kai BF. Stone Cold on the cover of WWE2K16. Is this a big indication that he will be active and probably main eventing at WrestleMania 32? And who do you think is the best opponent for him? My bet is Brock Lesnar. Ever since WWE first announced WrestleMania being in Dallas, Texas, there has been the speculation that Steve Austin would be returning for one more match. And all the rumors got even hotter when Steve Austin appeared on Paul Heyman's podcast and they did that tease for a match between Austin and Brock Lesnar. Austin and Brock Lesnar would be big business. It would be huge. But let's face it, WrestleMania 32 is going to be a massive success for WWE with or without Steve Austin. Steve Austin on the cover of WWE 2K16, it's good business for WWE. It's going to sell more video games. It's going to attract the older fans and bring them in to the fold, get them to buy the game and spread the word about WWE 2K16. It's going to draw up excitement for a lot of people. I know some people out there saying Steve Austin on the cover makes no sense because when you showcase a current talent and there has to be some sort of motive behind it. I don't really feel that there is a motive other than WWE feels it's a good business decision to have Austin on the cover. Does it mean he's going to be at WrestleMania 32? No, I don't really feel that it is anything all that significant, but you never know. Here's the thing about Steve Austin. He does not need to wrestle again. He does not need the money. He doesn't need the fame. I think Steve Austin has accepted the fact that his career is over. He would have been back already. If he really had the itch to come back, it would have been done a long time ago. And I feel that if Steve Austin came back, it would be if he felt he really needed to prove a point. I don't think he's desperate for the spotlight, coming back and having one more moment of glory. That's not Steve Austin's character. He doesn't need that. But anything is possible. Is it possible that Steve Austin is working the fans to make it a bigger surprise if and when he does come back? It's certainly a possibility. It's wrestling. People work people all the time. But the fact that Steve Austin has made it clear he's not coming back, Jim Ross, who knows Steve Austin better than anybody, has made it clear that Austin's not coming back. I would say the odds are against it happening. If he does come back, cool. Great surprise. You worked everybody. Awesome. Steve Austin, WrestleMania 32 would be epic. But if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. And WrestleMania is going to be spectacular regardless of Steve Austin being there. And he doesn't even have to wrestle. He can show up, he can stun somebody, he can drink beer, and still have a presence at WrestleMania 32 without having to actually get in the ring and risk his body. Alright, this one comes from the Walrus and Nader. Hey Aaron, what did you think of the 2009 feud between Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton? I thought it showed that Kofi had main event potential. Also, do you think that Kofi has any chance of reaching the main event? Well, I don't think he has any chance of reaching the main event now, but back then it certainly seemed like Kofi Kingston was on his way to superstardom in WWE. They shot that big angle at Madison Square Garden where they did the boom drop on Randy Orton in the crowd, and that was an epic moment. But WWE didn't really follow up on it. They did do a few more angles with him. They had him destroy Randy Orton's car, but then they had that match in early 2010, and something got botched, and Randy Orton snapped, and he yelled out "stupid" at Kofi Kingston, and next thing we knew, Kofi Kingston was just back to the mid-card, and that was the end of his push. To this day, I still don't know exactly what happened, if he really did something that annoyed Randy Orton, or if WWE just really didn't see Kofi Kingston as a main event superstar. Still to this day, I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but he certainly had potential at the end of 2009. I mean, the fans were behind him. He was on fire. He had momentum. And he just got put back into the mid-card. WWE gave up on him. So regardless of what happened, it didn't work out with Kofi Kingston. And I would be shocked if WWE invested in him like they did back in 2009. Probably not going to happen. All right, this one comes from DJ Birdie Booster. Hey Aaron, even though everyone raves about the Attitude Era, would you agree that the WrestleManias during this time were rather poor? Besides Austin's matches, the rest of the show seemed below par for such a popular and competitive era. What did you think? Looking back at the Attitude Era WrestleManias, WrestleMania 14 was a historic show, but I felt that the match quality was disappointing for WrestleMania. The main event was very memorable because of the fact that you had Steve Austin winning his first WWE title. You had Mike Tyson there, but that match was disappointing because Shawn Michaels was broken down. He needed a break from the business, and he just wasn't able to deliver the performance that people come to expect from Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. Undertaker and Kane was very good. I enjoyed the mixed tag match with Sable involved, but the rest of the show was forgettable. WrestleMania 15, besides Austin and Rock, I thought was a really disappointing show. Lots of Russo shenanigans. You had swerves, you had DQs, you had matches that weren't very good. You had that really disappointing Hell in the Cell match between Undertaker and Big Boss Man, with Boss Man being hung. Just a lot of lame stuff, and Bart Gunn getting knocked out by Butterbean, just a waste of time. That WrestleMania was really disappointing. WrestleMania 16, you had a few good matches on the undercard. You had Jericho there, you had Angle, you had the ladder match with Dudley's, Hardy's, Edge and Christian. That was a really good match, but the main event was extremely disappointing. Mick Foley coming back was probably not the right decision, and the heel turn, Vince swerving everybody and turning on The Rock, that was lame. Just a flat ending to WrestleMania, which had a pretty good undercard. And then, of course, WrestleMania 17, arguably the greatest WrestleMania of all time, the greatest WWE pay-per-view of all time. That match really was the peak of the Attitude Era, or some would say the end of the Attitude Era, when it really reached its highest point, and then the company started to decline in popularity after that. All right, this one comes from Fight Fan. Hey Aaron, while Michael Cole and Saxton may not have been in Japan, I thought they did an excellent job on commentary. It was refreshing to hear them talk about the matches and reference Japanese promotions. Do you see a future for them as a commentary team? Well, I thought the commentary was decent. I wasn't blown away by it. To me, it was just average. But I think what made it better than usual is that they weren't trying to do too much comedy. They were just playing it straight for the most part. It was almost like a glorified house show, and they were focusing more on the in-ring performances and less on the comedy and the soap operas. And maybe that's why it came off a little bit better than usual. Not really sure, but to me it was just a decent commentary performance. I wasn't blown away by it. I didn't think it was terrible. All right, this one comes from Raw is War 98. Hey Aaron, what's up? I was wondering why there was never a feud between Chyna and Sable. I think it would have been good seeing how both of them were over, and since they brought back the women's title. I think the idea was Chyna wanted to get in the mix with the male wrestlers. That was her whole gimmick and what her character was about. She was the first woman in the Royal Rumble. She was the one who always got involved with the men and stood up to the male wrestlers. Sable was just more of your traditional women's wrestler. And by the time Chyna did get involved in the women's division, Sable had already been long gone from the company, so there wasn't really that opportunity to do a Chyna versus Sable feud. All right, this one comes from the other Z. Great Raw this week. Only issue I had was with the Bellas. Do you think Charlotte should beat Nikki for the Divas title with the Horsewomen in their debut and burn it to unveil a new belt? That butterfly title diva belt needs to go, in my honest opinion, for a real title. I have a feeling that eventually Nikki will lose the title. I mean, it's inevitable. It'll happen eventually. But Right now, I'm expecting her to be champion until she breaks AJ Lee's record. That seems to be the direction WWE is going in. But I could very well see Charlotte being the one to defeat Nikki for the title. In fact, that is what I would do when the time comes. Whenever AJ Lee's record is broken, you can bring in Charlotte and have her beat Nikki, and even start a feud between the NXT Divas and the WWE Divas, do a little interpromotional feud. I would be all for that. And even maybe doing a repeat of Hogan versus Flair from 91, where Hogan was the champion and Ric Flair came in and proclaimed himself to be the real world's champion. You could even have a repeat of that with the Divas, with Charlotte, Ric Flair's daughter, coming in and proclaiming herself to be the real women's champion. And you could kind of do some kind of cool angle with that. I would be all for that. But as far as the butterfly title going away, I agree with you. Not a fan of that title design. But I would be surprised if they changed it anytime soon. Just because it's familiar with the fan base, and WWE is all about making that money, and they don't want to make changes that they don't have to. All right, last question here from A-Train. I actually got two more here. From A-Train220. Hey Aaron, my friend and I want to start a wrestling talk show on YouTube like yours. How do you start to make your videos popular? You have to keep in mind that this is a video series that evolved from other projects on NoDQ.com. I've had the website going back to 1998 when it was WWFWCW.com. In 2002, Mike Nagel and Jeff Meacham started their own audio show on NoDQ when it was themayhem.com. And then in 2004, we transitioned to a video series, XMV. And in 2007, Jeff started his own video series, Talk Wrestling. And 2011, I started doing NoDQ&A as a tech series. And when Jeff left the website, I decided to transition the tech series into a video series. And that created NoDQ&A video. So there's been a lot of evolution over the years. It's very difficult to start from scratch, and you just have to keep grinding. You gotta start a video series. You have to be prepared. Come up with notes before you start the show, and just have good lighting, have good audio, and first impressions are important with people. So just be very prepared and be as professional as possible, and just keep going at it and try to spread word of mouth. Go on Facebook, Twitter. Promote your videos, do whatever you can to get people watching. One person could make a big difference. You create one fan at a time, and that one person will tell his friend, and they'll tell somebody else, and hopefully it just becomes a snowball effect, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and you can grow your series and make it successful. But it is tough, so you just have to keep going if you're really passionate about it. All right, last question here from WrestlingDude95. Now that Finn Balor is the NXT champion, who on the NXT roster would be likely to feud with him? Right now, it's hard to say because Kevin Owens was the top heel, and I think that NXT has a void. They need a top heel now. I would love to see Samoa Joe go heel. I feel that he would fit into the Kevin Owens role as the top heel. I'd love to see Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe at SummerSlam have an NXT title match on the pay-per-view. I think that would be a huge way to elevate NXT. But if they don't do that, they always have the show the previous night, the NXT special. And I would like to see Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe and make Samoa Joe the top heel of NXT and let them go for several matches and go back and forth and maybe even have Joe win the title for a period of time. I think Samoa Joe would be your best bet at this point. But there's definitely other guys you can have feud against Finn Balor. But what NXT needs is a top heel to replace Kevin Owens. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQ&AV. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to show your support by grabbing an official NoDQ&A video t-shirt on ProWrestlingTees.com. There's a link in the description box, a direct link for the t-shirts. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest regarding Battleground. And I will see you guys next time for more.